Kahala Yahweh, Basham Yahushai, Basham Kakadash, the ones of the apostles at Great Millstone. Salute to you, brother, teaching the word in sincerity and in truth. So let's check some news out and tie it in with the scriptures. Let's go right into this. This video is on GB News. It says we need a legally binding migration scrap. And it also said scrap the Human Rights Act. So pretty much Keir Starmer's just come out and done a speech about migration. And he's talking about tightening the borders, tightening the borders and that. But obviously he's getting criticised for it because, you know, he's not really mentioned anything to do with illegal immigration. Now, you remember the whole Brexit thing. I'll touch on that probably in a bit, but let's play this because just giving you some background of what you're going to see here. Basically pretty much what we're showing you through the spirit is that they are going to shut these borders down. Everybody's complaining right now. The borders are just a free-for-all right now, which is all set up. It was all set up anyway by the elites to destabilize borders, destabilize countries, and to bring in tighter control. That's why they're talking about scrapping the Human Rights Act. So, which I haven't watched this video, but I watched a little bit actually. I didn't watch the full video, right? So I watched about a minute. So let's hear this. Let's play and we'll go into it that way.
To talk to him. Robert, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Robert, there's so much to talk about, most of it about Keir Starmer, I would say. And let's talk about migrant figures. First of all, yesterday he made this big speech, this big declaration. But look, let's cut to the bone here. Isn't the only way of reducing migrant numbers to pull out of the ECHR? And if you don't do that, it's not going to happen.
Well, I watched Keir Starmer's press conference yesterday, and frankly, I didn't believe a word of it. I don't think your viewers would. I don't think my constituents would. It looked like a hostage situation where he was reading out words that somebody else had written for him.
By the way, the ECHR is the European Convention on Human Rights. So they're saying we need to pull out of that. So, for whatever reason, I think when, and this is just me off the top of the head, I think when what a lot of people talk about is how you've got war going on in war-torn countries, but which is pretty much the West, his policies and involvement in these countries is causing these wars and that, yeah. So this is what people argue. So people say, well, because of that, we should be able to go into the countries that are bombing us or behind it, you know what I mean, or have colonized or destroyed the countries. You got the European Human Rights Act, which is just human rights, right? So if you're war torn and you do this and you do that, you know, pretty much you got rights. So, the UK is still bound by that. Obviously, you had Brexit, which they was trying to pull out of a lot of things. That went back down to that was before Boris Johnson, man. I forgot who it was. I think was it David Cameron? I can't even remember right now. But so they're trying to basically like get out of all of that. And we're seeing this kind of thing happening in a couple of countries. Let's play.
We know what he believes. His life, his career, his whole worldview is about open borders. He's just another politician telling lies, saying what he thinks the public want to hear, but not taking any action. Nothing he said yesterday is going to stop the boats. It's not going to bring down legal migration to the historic levels that we want to see. It's not going to get the 1 million people in our country who are here illegally out of our country, deport them. It's not going to get the 12,000 foreign criminals in our prisons, out of our country. What we have to do is take serious action. No.
Yeah, the only way to reverse that stuff is to go draconian, is to go, you know, dictatorship style, put the hammer down, which is gonna happen. You know, we know that. Even you read, so I'll get the scriptures after Revelation. He said he had two horns like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon. Right? And that's America in your two-party system. And the spake as a dragon, that's draconian law right there, man. Which they got from the Romans, because this is Rome, you know, this is the Roman Empire back. Rome, America, right? So, that's what's gonna happen. That's the spirit that's on, you know, you go back in the history, that's what happened. This is exactly what's gonna come. So, if you want the answer to the question, all this chaos that's happening is just fanning the fires for the global, the lockdowns, the chaos. That's all it's doing, and the way this is going to be pushed more is more chaos. You just had some attacks go on, you know, and the prime minister's apartments. He had a couple of apartments. So you're going to keep getting these false flags, whether they're set up, you know, by MI5 drug addicts, you know, that they just push out there to just do attacks, or because they do stuff like that. We've known about that. We've known about that for years, the false flags. There's other names for them. PSYOPs, false flags, all of that. So let's play on.
No more lies, serious action. And what we're saying is that is a legally binding cap set by
legally
Parliament,
binding
so people
cap.
can have confidence that this time people actually mean it. And secondly, we need to ensure that we change those human rights laws and have the Human Rights Act cut out, so no more vexatious claims, no more fake actions by illegal migrants and their lawyers. You can get those people out of our country and end the merry-go-round of ludicrous legal actions that are frustrating the system today.
But people can't take you seriously, though, can they, Mr. Jenrick? Because you, as the Tories, you implemented a cap yourselves. You failed with that cap. Now we're talking about the ECHR. You won't commit to leaving the ECHR. And under your watch, under the previous government, there was the Boris wave, as it's described, of migration, when numbers went from 200,000 or so to 900,000. So it's a bit rich coming from the Tories, talking about how to get a grip now and reduce net migration.
Well, look, I have been painfully honest, more than I think anybody else, about the failings of the last Conservative government. I think the immigration policy that it pursued was catastrophic. As you know, when I was Immigration Minister, I campaigned to...
Let me pause this. One thing, you see, what you got to understand is, you see, there was two horns and it spake. The two horns were on the same beast. Like, you understand this, these political parties, they're all in the system, it's all... Every time they get in, they always promise something and they never do it. It ain't just, they're always been like that, and we've been saying that for years. And before this immigration thing was going on, people get mad at us because we're cursing out voting. Oh, you don't vote. Or, you know what I mean? Or you ain't voted and all that. And now all of a sudden now, because of this immigration thing, now all of a sudden, yeah, you know what? The governments and everybody wants to become a woke all of a sudden. It's a joke. When these politicians get in the seat, the debt still climbs up, right? The problems stay the same. The UK's in debt. The UK's in debt. These countries are in debt. Which is a whole nother video right there. and then you can go into the international bankers and things like that. But I'm gonna leave that to another video. But all this is planned. This is all by design. This is Order Ab Chao. Okay, Order Ab Chao. That's what this is, right? But these politicians will get in. Then they'll promise something. Oh, I'm gonna cut illegal immigration. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut that. And then when they get in, they don't do anything. The problems get worse. So there's a theme. There's a problem. There's an agenda going on, but that they're in line with. They're actually working for that agenda, because what this is going to lead to, it's going to get so bad out here. It's only going to get worse. It's going to get so bad out here through these false flags, through just and by the way, you like the majority of the UK, right, is actually the majority of the UK, a lot of these towns, especially small towns, there's only so-called white people in the towns. So, I know them. I go around. There's a lot of towns, and they ain't even got no migrants there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, they watch the news and they're pissed off. But it's all the stuff that they see, right, popping up on the feeds and shit. Now there's these places that these people, that the immigrants are at, but check this. This is only going to get worse. And the point is here is that when it gets that bad. See, if they're not solving the problem, then what's going to happen? Something's going to happen where they're going to have to bring in draconian law. You know what I'm saying? So you got I think the Tories, right? So they're saying that you guys never did nothing. Now the guys are out. Now they're talking about, oh yeah, let's scrap the human rights. See, these kind of talks and things that we're hearing is what is going to happen. That's the point. Because the Conservatives are the ones that are in. So all of a sudden now, so what these things that they're saying is exactly what's going to happen. The human rights is going to be scrapped 100%, and that's where we're going. That's the overall factor of this, yeah.
Put in place measures that would reduce the number of people coming into this country. I secured the biggest changes to the system in recent memory that will lead to 300,000 fewer people coming in every year. And I resigned when I couldn't persuade the then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to go any further. I resigned on principle. And frankly, if only this current crop of Labour politicians had the backbone to do that. Yvette Cooper is just going to be yet another politician who makes promises and breaks them. She'll be consigned to the dustbin of history of Home Secretary who doesn't fix this problem. We didn't have a cap in the past. There was a promise, but it was not a legally binding cap. That is the big difference that we're proposing. I do believe that cutting out the Human Rights Act that Tony Blair created will make a difference. It will help to stop the claims. But yes, we do also need to go further. And you know my position on leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. But Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the party, is now leading a policy renewal process where we're going to carefully consider what our position is. And that's going to come out in the months to come.
Yeah, well, it's also coming out very strongly amongst our viewers in terms of who's listening and who's watching, is that unfortunately for Mr. Starmer, they don't believe a word that he is saying based on his previous track record. This guy flips and flops and flops and flips.
So what they're pushing, see, it's what they've done here is, see, Esau is a serpent, right? It says never trust thine enemy. So they're cunning, they've devised plans in a way. What they'll do is fuel your passions for their agendas. They're fueling your passions for their agendas. So what they're doing is making people so angry. And there used to be, wasn't that freedom to fascism? Used to have people going into that. There was in the States with the whole thing with 9/11 and the war on terror. Where they're saying people are going to beg for shutdowns and lockdowns on themselves. That's what the system is doing. They're gonna make people accept their new world order. People beg for their new world order. That's what they're on. So pretty much people can go, look, man, I'm so tired of this illegal immigration. So I'm up for digital IDs. I'm up for getting chipped. I'm up for having border patrols. Like, well, they already want that anyway. Like, the locked off borders where no one could come in and no one could come. Because you think it's just going to be no one could come in, but you ain't going to be able to come out. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's going to get to. It's going to be so much false flags. And by false flags, I mean them T-style attacks and all that they set up. There's going to be all that kind of stuff going on. Like, the thing today, they're calling that, I don't know. But all that sort of stuff is going on, right? So then they're going to go, well, look, they're going to shut it down. You worrying about, everyone's pissed, oh, they're going to shut it down. Don't worry about that. Let's get a quick scripture on that. Is it going to shut it down? The people gritting their teeth. You're damn right they're going to shut it down. Let's get this right quick here. 2 Corinthians 15 and 15. You know, let me just come to the point. I'll probably jump to that in a second. But look at the point. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So they're going to say, I want to go, yeah, I want to go this town. I want to go that town. Whatever. Look, the trains are just out. That's omens. That's omens. The train system was down. Spain, power outage. That's what we're getting with things. This is what it is. It's a global new world order that we're seeing coming into play. And they want you to beg for it. And this is the way to do it. And people are so stupid that they're feeding right into that. Yeah, so they're going to have you begging for your own control to be digital IDs, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip. Okay, these are the things that we're talking about here. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, all to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And what's the devil going to be doing? With great wrath, is coming down with draconian measures. Okay, draconian measures in martial law and lockdowns and chips and mark of the beast RFID chips. Actually, when you jump to 13, 16, it goes right into that. See, you got people out there that are just all they're doing is trying to just do videos against the prophets and that. But you know what? You individuals, yeah, you ain't telling people what's gonna happen though. So you waste of time, because people are gonna die because you ain't warning them. You know, so you know you're gonna write in Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, to be chipped. You've seen that with Elon Musk chip, or you know he's. But you seen it was pushing him because his face was out there chipping people, and then they're doing it all over the world, England, America, Sweden, chipping people in their head and their hands for different reasons. Some for traveling, Sweden and stuff like that. They get on trains. They got chips in them, RFID implants, right? And then they got RFID implants in them, and that's to just use trains and stuff and things of that nature. So this is going to be to operate in the system on the whole. This is, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, which is that chip right there, the RFID mark of the beast chip. Radio frequency identification. Oh, you know, you need to be identified by this chip. And it's right there. Let's get it again. Let's see if we can. Brain chips, yeah. Okay, you got brain chips. Brain chips, and you got radio, RFID, RFID, RFID chip. Let's put in RFID first. RFID, it stands for radio frequency identification. So how you're going to be identified is by this RFID chip. Right? RFID tags. Look at all the things that it's used for. Trucking, logistics, washing machine, cameras, shopping, TV. So this is the system. This is the grid, bro. All right. So this is what we're dealing with here, man. So this immigration stuff, yeah, it's just only gonna get worse and worse. There's no reason for this. You gotta. There's many more scriptures. But you gotta have your spiritual mind open and see the bigger picture here. Let's pray on.
And flips, and people just don't know what he's going to say next.
Keir Starmer is serially dishonest. He lied and lied at the general election. He said he wasn't going to raise taxes, and then he went and did it. And on this, just look at his life. This is the man who voted against every piece of border control legislation. He said that border control is basically racist. He wrote letters trying to frustrate the removal of dangerous criminals from this country back home to their own countries. He stood to be leader of the Labour Party on a platform of restoring free movement and said that immigration was an unalloyed good for this country. You can't believe a word he says, and nobody does believe him. He's just reading out the lines that someone else has written for him, and it's just going to perpetuate the incredible levels of anger and frustration there are in this country right now about politicians who make promises and break them on immigration. Just get out of Westminster and hear what the public feel.
Yeah, the whole Goyim thing. Goyim meaning the public, the elite class call you guys Goyim, innit? And small hats and shit like that. And the whole politics thing is more like a Goyim's game because see, you getting fixated on now first of all Boris, now they're fixated on Keir, they're fixated on this, Rishi. They're always just fixated on they thought when Labour came in, because remember Labour over the years of Labour, it was the two parties, Labour gets in, and they ain't doing shit. So there's a common theme of you being fixated on puppets. The politicians are puppets, right, for the elites. I mean, that's just goes without saying. Super puppets. You know, they can get blackmailed, they can get killed, they can get their dirt outed and all of that, man. They're just, come on, the elites, they're just complete pawns. You know, puppet boys. And they take all the the crimes that they want to commit. It falls on the politicians. And that's their job. So their jobs is to be professional liars or professional. They're the professionals at lying and diverting. You know, and but that's why you got to look at the bigger picture. Because all they're going on about Keir, it's him. Yeah, it's him. See, Keir, that Keir. Oh, because this Keir and that. You can't see the bigger picture then.
On this issue, it is time for action. That is what the public want now. Let's get immigration back down to the levels that we enjoyed as a country for decades before Tony Blair changed all of that, because it's putting massive pressure on housing, on public services. It's undercutting the wages of British workers and making this country poorer, and it's making us less united. The only thing, frankly, I agree with Keir Starmer on is his belief, his sense that we are living in an increasingly disunited country. That is the truth. People are feeling disorientated by the fact that some communities are changing beyond all recognition. The pace of change is too fast. It's got to change.
As you say, there's a huge issue on the doorstep. The public feel really strongly on this one. Reform UK has the toughest line on immigration, don't they? And they saw huge success in local elections last week. And then you have the Labour Party and Sir Keir Starmer sounding like the Tories yesterday in that speech that he gave. So where does this leave the Conservative Party? Where do they fit in this new system? Does it render you as obsolete?
Look, I think we have to be painfully honest about the mistakes that we made. We have to then bring forward serious and credible solutions to those challenges. And that's what we are now doing. We've already said that we're going to have a legally binding cap set by Parliament. That's a policy that I pursued with my colleague Neil O'Brien, which has been adopted by other parties like Reform now. That is the way to restore public trust and confidence, because people would actually know for once it's going to happen. They can have confidence that Parliament will have set in the law of the land the level of migration that we're going to permit into this country. And yes, on illegal migration, we do need to change our human rights laws, because I want to get us into a position which I've advocated for a very long time. It's why I resigned from government. So I want to see, if you come here illegally, you get arrested, you get detained, you get deported within hours and days, not weeks or months. That is the only way to resolve this challenge. And for the million people who are living in our country or more, illegally, we've got to deport those people.
But to do exactly what you're proposing, which is what most people would say, why aren't we doing this? We're not doing this because of the European Commission on Human Rights, basically primarily. And you think that's sortable? You think you can actually change that? You can change it quickly, and you can make a difference?
Yes, I do believe you could do that. It's not
Basically, yeah, you've got laws of England and stuff like that, legislations and things like that, but then you've got European laws that that kind of override those things. Do you know what I'm saying? And that they're kind of bound by, because you see, pretty much things have to happen. Major things have to happen, which is they're gonna set it up. The people at the top are gonna set the elites and stuff like that of this society, international bankers, hidden hand, all that Illuminati. They're gonna do all that. So basically, there's like no excuses, because obviously they're bound by these things. So they're gonna whereby they'll have to just suspend certain things on the spot because of the level that it's got to. Initiating, all they got to do is bring in martial law. That shuts that off straight away. So this is what the whole thing is here. This is what we're trying to say. Your borders are going to be locked down through martial law and different other means. But let's just say martial law now, just so you can understand. Draconian law, draconian legislation, suspending of European rights acts and certain things. They're just going to do it, or other acts or whatever. They're just going to drop it down like that. And by the way, when they do that, your ass has to get checked out, and that's why with the digital IDs, which they're already bringing it in. So you're worried about this and worried about that. Y'all use that ain't in the know, and got your spiritual minds open. You just don't even know that they're bringing in digital IDs and all of that. You don't even have a clue. So they're already doing this. Everything is already going down the line to bringing in these RFID chips and this control in the system. All right, so pretty much I'm going to leave it there. But let me play a look. Let me just play the rest of it.
Just about our human rights laws. It's bigger than that. There are more things we need to do. I've been campaigning recently about activist judges. And we've seen this growing trend of judges at immigration tribunals bringing their politics into the decisions that they're making and leading to, frankly, ludicrous decisions where people are not being removed from this country because their kids like chicken nuggets, or they're going to be subject to hostility if they return home, despite the fact that they're a murderer or a paedophile or they've committed a terrible crime.
Yeah, well, all that's going to change, like we said. All right, I'm going to do more on this. Probably touching on some European law and stuff and things of that nature. hey, but there you go, man. They are gonna shut this system down real soon. And I'm gonna and like I said, when we show you to do with those power outages and all that's a part of it. Global chaos. It's called a new world order for a reason. All right. With that, I'm gonna say, shalom.